Hello, everyone. This is Kitchen Table Rants, and we're here with our review of Season 2, Episode 2 of Supergirl, titled Stronger Together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. This show has only been out a week, 2 episodes so far, and it started off with 15 million viewers, a very, very strong debut. So a lot of people are definitely keeping their eye on this show. It's definitely the first one that has a female protagonist. So that's one way they're kind of breaking the mold here, and I'm guessing that's why a lot more attention has been brought to this one and has more viewers than, say, the premiere of The Flash or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
Arrow, all that good stuff.
Yeah. I think we've mentioned this before. It was interesting they chose Supergirl rather than like Wonder Woman or someone a little bit more recognizable.
I think it was a good decision.
But yeah, I mean, I think the show is off to a good start.
Yeah. Did you so you watched the Superman animated series, of course, right?
Yep, I've seen it.
So Supergirl actually figured in pretty heavily to that and Justice League.
She did, yeah. But those shows weren't, I don't think, were catered to a wider audience like these shows are.
Yeah, not really. I mean, but that was like my first real glimpse of Supergirl. I don't read a lot of DC comics, so I don't know much about the Supergirl character. And all I know just comes from the Bruce Timm animated series.
Which is a great show.
Not bad to have that kind of
Bruce Timm is a goat.
He is like animation like god for DC.
Yeah, he's done some great stuff.
Yeah, he's awesome. But so jumping into this, it's been 1 week since the last incident where Kara was outed as Supergirl, not to her peers, but for the fact that there's a Supergirl around that's very similar to Superman, and she's going through these drills, these different exercises with is it called the DEO?
DEO, and I want to call them the DEA every time.
Me too. What's the DEA? What do we know the DEA from?
The Drug Enforcement Agency.
Oh.
It's a real world thing.
That's a real thing.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
That's why it reminds us of that. Anyway, so she's going through these drills. She's, doing them effortlessly. Alex even recognizes that when she, passes the speed of sound. She's going through these pretty easily. And, she's getting kind of cocky, saying, I'm ready. I can do it at this point. And then you have Hank Henshaw, who's, trying to calm her down, pretty much saying, you know what? These guys, they're stronger than you. They've had more time to train. I mean, Alex said these same things as well, but everyone's cautioning her to not get too ahead of herself.
Yeah, and she goes out into the real world, starts solving problems, and she finds out it's not so easy. The one big scene was she goes to a fire on a dock, and it's getting really close to a ship
reaching
with,
the ship.
Yeah, crude oil.
Which would cause a massive explosion. And the way that she found out this was happening is that she has her work employee Wynn looking up, updates around the city of turmoil and different crimes and so forth. So he relayed that information. Supergirl flies over to save it. And I'm not sure if she tried to use her ice breath or her wind breath.
Whatever she used, she didn't do well, and it just made I think it was just her wind breath, because the fire just spread.
Yeah, she probably should have been closer to the fire. I don't know.
She just didn't know what she was doing.
Yeah, and those guys were the
firemen.
They went in. They were like, yeah, Superman would have done this by now.
Yeah, so she and then she's like, well, okay, that's not working. So she decides to use her super strength to move the ship, which
she does
works, but then she also causes an oil spill.
Yeah, the ship kind of falls apart near the top, and the oil spills everywhere, pretty much causing a disaster pretty much with the bay. I mean, it's fully contaminated, and people are running articles.
It was like the BP spill.
Yeah, to a smaller degree, but they're running all these terrible articles about Supergirl. Kara comes into work the next day, feeling all terrible.
The newspapers, trying to figure out how to spin her, because that's what they're really trying to do.
And what's interesting about that part is so you see them looking at the news, and a character named Maxwell Lord is talking about Supergirl and how she's not really helping out. And this is important to note because Maxwell Lord is a very infamous villain of the Justice League. He's a character that has telepathic abilities, and he's very skilled in manipulation. So he's definitely tricked and controlled the Justice League for a majority of his comic book history. and this is definitely something that's gonna come up in the future. So watch out for this guy.
Yeah, he's there, and people seem to love him. I know Wynn mentions how he's a huge fan of him. So
I wonder why, because his telepathic gifts have already been in use. That's how he got to where he is now.
He is controlling people. But yeah, so Kara is struggling, and there's the obvious comparisons to Superman. People are like, why do we have the second-rate superhero? Superman's perfect.
Right.
She's like struggling, and she's grappling with this. Like, what do I need to do? How do I get back into the public's good graces? The newspaper owner.
Yeah, she's getting kind of crazy. She talks to Jimmy, saying that we need to have this interview with Supergirl in 24 hours, or he has to go back to the Daily Planet.
Right. She's really concerned about Supergirl's kind of image, not for really any good reason, except for she wants to sell newspapers.
Exactly.
And she's using Supergirl kind of as the main focal point of the newspaper.
Yeah, to keep her as number one.
Right. So she wants this interview. And so Kara kind of goes into damage control. She first makes sure that Jimmy and Wynn know. I mean, they both know she's Supergirl, but then she kind of brings them together. They're like, wait, you know Supergirl? Yeah, we both know Supergirl. Okay, great.
Right.
Now she has a team.
Yeah. Potential love triangle as well.
Yeah, that too.
Seems pretty one-sided so far.
Yeah. But so they start kind of just doing kind of smaller
little
acts
montage.
Of kindness.
A little montage.
Yeah, just the
with a song that I don't remember, but it was a montage.
It was the typical like, saving the pet from the tree. Should
we talk about how the animal that got stuck in the tree was a
snake?
What?
Snakes don't get stuck in trees.
Yeah,
they just
go there.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a big snake, though. I can see why they wanted it down. That thing could have probably killed a child and eaten it.
Why did they have that? Anyway, another thing to pay attention to was that there's this kind of insect race of people that apparently were in that jail that crash landed on Earth, and one of them is going around trying to find these high in chlorine type materials so they can eat it.
Yeah, so it feeds off DMT, which is explosive or a chemical that's used in explosives. So people are thinking that the DO first thinks like, oh no, they're making a super bomb. Nope, it's just eating it.
He's just hungry.
He's a hungry bug.
Yeah, so this character is like going to these chemical plants and just like killing these security guards. And let me tell you something. If you go back and look at the episode, the security guard looked just like Donald Glover. You could barely see him, but he looked just like Donald Glover.
Did he start rapping?
He didn't, but like I'll show you afterwards. He looked just like him.
Well, rest in peace, Childish.
Fun fact. Yeah, he was real crazy in The Martian, wasn't he?
He was. I mean, he just played the same character that he did in Community.
They kind of like fused Abed and Troy together for that one.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we find out that this like sort of insect humanoid type character is the leader of his people is Supergirl's aunt, who seems to be the big bad of this entire season.
Yeah, and she seems to be controlling all the bad aliens and kind of has them under her control. And you also find out that she is Supergirl's mom's twin sister.
So is it the same actress?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's really pretty. I like her.
Yeah, she was I don't know what else she was in, but she looked familiar.
We'll have to look up on IMDb.
Yeah, but anyway, she's kind of manipulating all this stuff against Supergirl and she's plotting something we're not really sure.
Yeah, we don't really have the gist of what she's doing.
Yeah, but all they're ex-criminals, and we find out that Supergirl knows her or remembers her from when she was a kid back on Krypton.
Well, so we had this moment where, Supergirl's with the DEO, and she has like a flashback of when she was back on Krypton in a room that looks like what I would imagine a first class flight to look like. Never been on first class. I hope to be on one, hopefully Virgin Airlines one day. If I have my way. But so that actually reminded me that Kara was like she was pretty old by the time that she left Krypton.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
That's the difference between her and Superman. Is Superman
Yeah.
came as a baby, he didn't remember Krypton at all.
Right.
That's why he a big part of his character is struggling to reconcile.
Yeah.
You know, his home planet with Earth and how he doesn't
just a heritage
remember
and everything.
it. Right. Kara actually remembers it because she was like 12.
Yeah, she was pretty old.
Yeah, she was a kid, but she was old enough to remember it, so she has those memories of home.
Did you notice that Baby Kal-El had the cowlick? I was like, Baby Cal is a G. He had the cowlick when he was a baby.
Well,
what a gangster!
Hey, he started out young.
He's a G. One thing I want to bring up is so Alex tries to teach Kara how to fight, which is pretty interesting. They have this room that seems overly prepared. Like they've clearly had this thing for a while.
Well, they've been familiar with Superman now for a while.
Well, that's true. And I'm guessing at this point, so Superman's been established for a while. I think we can assume that he's already had to deal with like Zod and all them, like those kind of Kryptonians. Maybe.
They haven't really said one way or the other.
Not really. But they have like this sparring match, and like she sets the room to like 18% kryptonite or something like that, which is kind of BS because even at 18% kryptonite, I think one hit from Supergirl would still kill the average human. But Alex teaches her how to fight like using your opponent's weight like against them, like their strength. Like if you're fighting an opponent that's stronger than you, you have to use their momentum and their power against them. But of course, like, you know, Supergirl is just kind of like, oh, I don't need anybody's help. I can do this by myself.
Yeah, she's very stubborn and very headstrong.
Very much so.
And she clashes with Henshaw a lot, who's kind of doesn't completely trust her, but also is trying to put her through some rigorous training.
You're right.
Alex is caught in the middle of it.
We actually got a really nice humanizing moment for Henshaw. He's kind of been a hard ass this whole time, but he talks to Supergirl, and then she tells him, like, haven't you ever had a family? And he was like, I used to. And I was like, oh shit, his whole family's been killed.
Yeah, he's had a tricky past, right? Clearly.
And if you know Hank Henshaw, you know that this guy is Cyborg Superman, and he is going to show up looking quite differently from how he looks now. Maybe.
Eventually, maybe. We'll see.
Did he have red eyes at the end of this episode?
We'll get into that.
It looked like he did.
Yeah, so she's going through this, and they don't completely trust her yet. So the DEO decides to go after the aunt, whose name I can't remember right now. Atara.
Yeah.
I think is her name.
They go after the insect first.
The insect guy, yeah.
They send out a truck full of that DMT stuff that kind of lure him into the open, and he falls for it. But he goes in. Like, he kills, like, a lot of their guys.
He kills, like, most of their guys.
And then just takes Alex like it was nothing.
Yeah, and so they capture the DEO agent.
Can he fly, by the way? Or can he?
I'm not sure.
Like, I'm curious to see if he has Kryptonian powers.
He doesn't. He's not a Kryptonian. He's from a different planet.
But he was jailed.
He was jailed in the Phantom Zone.
Right.
They're, like, charged by the Kryptonians.
I love how the Phantom Zone is, like, right next to Krypton.
Yeah, they should have done a better job of putting that somewhere else.
Like, not close to their planet.
Yeah, but...
Anyway.
Alex gets captured, Atara shows up, and, you know, she's happy she has a DEO agent, and she uses her to draw Supergirl out. Now, Henshaw's like, oh, shit, what do I do? Supergirl shows up, she's like, I got this. I'm gonna go save my sister.
Turns out, she, in fact, does not have this.
No, and
she gets beaten down.
She very quickly learns that she is not
anywhere close to being trained enough to handle this kind of threat. I mean, this character has been around for a very long time. She somehow made herself like queen of this jail, so she's obviously a badass. She's trained in fighting. She knows how to use her powers very well. She even does like the wind breath like on point. She does it like Supergirl was supposed to do it.
Right. Yeah, so she gets beat up, and Henshaw shows up.
He does show up, and he kind of gets he almost gets chokeslammed like within seconds. But then he comes out with this freaking Elder Scrolls Oblivion type dagger, enchanted plus 30 kryptonite.
With kryptonite.
and just into the
her.
forearm.
Just stabs her.
Yeah.
No regard. Just goes in.
He goes in.
She lets him go. Has to flee because she's been stabbed. And, kind of everything's great.
Well, I think we would be remiss if we don't bring up the fact that Kara actually thought back to her sparring match with Alex and decided to use her tactics to help fight.
So she's learning, and I think she's slowly, not even slowly, quickly realizing she needs training.
Yeah.
She's not the most powerful person out there, and she needs to be smart about this. And this episode really established that.
Yeah, it's called Stronger Together for a reason, and I'm glad they're tackling this like very early on because I don't want to have to deal with this later.
I don't want to have the whole season deal with this.
Right.
They're moving very quickly. I mean, I wasn't expecting for her to become Supergirl this quickly. A lot of the typical origin stories are the first season really delves into, them even establishing themselves as a superhero, that identity. This was like one episode in, she's Supergirl. She has a suit.
Yeah, and it's so beneficial.
A real suit.
Yeah, she has a real suit. It looks great. Mm-hmm. It looks amazing. I mean, there are the other ones. We won't talk about those.
But yeah, I do. So I do like it's kind of a slightly fresher take on the origin story there. You know what I thought was interesting about Atara getting stabbed by the kryptonite knife?
What?
They didn't know what it was. They didn't know the kryptonite.
They didn't.
Which I thought was strange.
Unexpected.
I mean, she was completely taken aback by it. After she flees, she's like in their hideout with her like
weird doctor engineer guy.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know. I don't know what this is. She was like, I don't know what it is, but it's making me sick still. Get it away from me. I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, how do they not know what that is?
I don't know. It was weird.
Because Superman, I'm assuming, has dealt with it in this series.
Maybe. I don't know. So that's something to look out for. And then I do want to point out that there are besides Atara being twins with Supergirl's mom.
Yeah.
There is some sort of revenge history, I think, brewing there. Because in the flashback Kara has, her mother is actually explaining how she's kind of like a judge or some sort of prosecutor for Krypton that is sending people into the Phantom Zone. And we find out that her sister, a.k.a. Kara's aunt, was banished to the Phantom Zone from this dispute.
Yeah, another revenge story.
Yeah, which is Kara's confused as to why she's alive, and we find out that she was banished.
Exactly.
So there's probably some sort of revenge factor there that, her mom sent her aunt into the Phantom Zone. She's kind of some sort of evil thing going on there.
Should she be mad? Because if she hadn't got placed in the Phantom Zone, she would have been dead.
Yeah, she should be thanking her.
That's what I'm saying. But I think, personally, I am most excited about the villains. Maxwell Lord being introduced was huge to me personally. And if you noticed in the first episode, in this episode as well, at the DEO office, they have a screen where they show potential escapees from the jail. And one of them is this purple character, right?
I didn't notice.
The Parasite. 100% the Parasite. And I am excited for him to show up.
That'll be fun.
Because I don't know if you're familiar with the character. He showed up very often in Superman animated series as well as Justice League. Like his name suggests, as soon as he grabs onto someone, he just starts leeching their powers, and he just,
like a parasite.
Exactly. So I'm interested in seeing how that'll happen. Pretty much draining the life force from Supergirl, and if that kind of character gets around to her friends, that'll be an interesting scenario. If he pits one, if he forces her into a scenario where she has to save one or the other, I think that could lead to a pretty interesting conflict for Supergirl. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, obviously her aunt's going to be the main villain, but if the Parasite shows up and then Maxwell Lord rounds us out for that, I'm totally in.
Yeah. I do want to discuss kind of towards the end of the episode, Kara kind of gets her own crappier version, I would say.
That was definitely a poor man's version of the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, but the gist of it is she now has kind of the memories of her mother. Yeah. And the hologram to talk to, and it's a kind of an emotional scene. She kind of breaks down, and so she has that kind of support.
Yeah, she has her mom as an AI program that she can talk to for guidance.
Right.
history on Krypton, like pretty essential items. Like if you recall in Man of Steel, like Kal-El had Jor-El,
Right.
aka Russell Crowe, aka the Gladiator.
The Jor-El Cal scenes in that movie were by far the best parts of the movie.
Dude, I mean, do we even need to go into that intro scene with Jor-El just like wreaking havoc all over Krypton, just straight up killing these guys?
Yeah.
Beast mode.
I digress.
Let's talk about Hank Henshaw, man. This is my dude.
He has red eyes at the end.
He is. What do we think he is though? Because in the comics, it's kind of like a Fantastic Four version of DC. You know, him and 3 other astronauts go to this planet. They get hit by a solar flare. He comes back. His like skin and body disintegrate. His mind lives on, and he finds out he can like control electronics. And he jumps into these bodies. He tries to make himself look like Superman. All this crazy stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they haven't really established anything for him. We just know he's a DEO agent. He's kind of a hard ass.
And like
he lost his family.
Exactly.
So we'll see where he goes.
I would rather not have him as the villain.
Maybe not. Maybe he will. We'll see.
We'll see.
Only time will tell. And then the episode, I think it ends with Kara finally giving the interview to Kat, her boss, aka the owner of the newspaper.
Very stylish fashion. She just straight up lifts the car up and goes to like freaking Runyon.
Yeah,
Canyon.
It goes up to some cliff. Kara mostly does this.
Is that kidnapping, by the way?
Probably.
Adult napping?
She probably should be arrested. Should they put out an Amber Alert?
Maybe. Can you arrest? Amber Alert, or that's for children, right?
Yeah.
She acts like a child.
That's true. I think they should have put one out.
Maybe. Let's talk about the sort of romance angle we got going on in this show. We have Jimmy Olsen, who in this version, let me tell you, he is a 6 foot tall.
This is the Eric's Black Power tirade right here.
It is. Get ready for this. It happens in every single episode that we do. Last time we talked about The Walking Dead and the greatest shot in Walking Dead history with 3 black people surviving, 80% stamina. It was fantastic. Let me tell you about this huge shift in television where on 2 of the most popular shows, the love interest is a big, strong, tall, bald black dude. What? What is life? Like 3 out of 5 of those things describe me. I am all in for this.
Which 3 though? Which 3? Which 3?
Not tall. All right, bald, black, strong. Don't judge me, Zed. God. Oh, this guy definitely benches more than me though. Do you see how big he is? This Jimmy Olsen character, he is so big. He
shouldn't be that big. He's just a photographer at a newspaper, you know.
Yeah, he probably does neck press. Like T-Dog didn't do neck press. This guy will survive.
Rest in peace, T-Dog.
Rest in peace. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do here. I don't feel like they're gonna really play up the love triangle with Wynn very much. He kind of seems more of the like Felicity type character, like an Arrow.
Yeah, he's kind of nerdy. He's super smart, witty.
He's a tech guy.
Yeah, he's kind of a techie. But he definitely has a thing for Kara.
Oh, definitely. But I mean, based off looks alone, it's definitely gonna go to Jimmy. I mean, they had a scene together. A very intense scene where she was trying to talk him down from not doing the interview and going back to the Daily Planet. And, like, they got really close. And when Kara sort of broke it off and went home, he definitely had a look of disappointment on his face because he wanted that kiss.
Yeah, they're into each other. We'll see how
he even handle the kiss is my question.
She could probably break his jaw.
So bad.
Yeah, so we'll see where it plays out. And I'm sure it's going to be factored into the season.
Oh, definitely. So many questions about how that works out.
But yeah, I think it's been a strong start to the season. I think Kara is learning quickly and she's growing into the role of Supergirl. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll be back with another review of Supergirl next week. So stay tuned for our review of season 2, episode 3. Follow us on Twitter at KTR Podcast. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, as well as SoundCloud and YouTube.
Yep. All right. Catch you guys later.